hurry, because all hell will break loose. And not only that, farther up north in California, they predict an earthquake, the greatest of all times. An earthquake, the greatest of all times. So I would, if I were you, pack up and take off and get over here to Boston right away. As I sit here thinking about what happened, I saw my brother today, and he gave me more information about my grandfather. Now I know a little bit more than what I knew. Talking to my cousin John, he told me he was at the cemetery. Saw where Grandpa was buried. He was born 1858 and he died 1938. And that made him 80 years old when he died. I didn't realize he was that old. And I was miscalculated on the many children he had. First, I heard that he had 3 sons and 5 daughters. I always thought there was 11. But the sons' names there was Edward, Peter, and Benny. Grandpa, first of all, he was born in a little town in Plymouth. I don't know the name of it, but it wasn't too far from Warsaw. And he went to school there, but he went to like a military school. For years there was a lot of trouble with the Prussians and different parts of Russia and Lithuania. But we did get to the rank of a general. And from what I hear, he had a struggle in life, but he made money in the service. He bought himself a nice home in Poland, a large home. They say his children, he was very strict with his children. He made them work for the money. There was no, everyone had something to do, earn some money. And they were going to some sort of a school there. It wasn't like we have around a regular high school. Everything there was taught with one teacher. In other words, you went there and he taught you. There was no high school. You had so many years, and that was it. And they did try to learn a little English because he planned to bring them over to America. And he arrived. He took his kids. He had money, sold his house and all his animals, and he moved to the United States. And he arrived in Cambridge, Mass. When he had Ellis Island first, and then he went to Cambridge. And that's where he had some sort of a rooming house. There was a place there where all the people from Ellis Island, Italian, Polish, they got together and talked about what they were going to do. So Grandpa got a rooming house for the men. He figured the men could find their own work, but the women needed help. So he got his daughters, he placed them. He had money. He bought apartment houses, and he went to Melrose to buy my mother a house. Houses were cheap then, in years. It wasn't expensive. You buy a home cheap. And then, later on, my mother married a fellow by Walter of Usowich. That was my brother's father. And they lived there a couple of years in Melrose. When he left there. My grandpa came back to the house there where they were living in Melrose. They sold that house. He bought a house in Saugus on 77 Dudley Street, Saugus. And that's my mother met my father eventually, Alexander Olbash, and they got married. And I was born in 1925, August the 6th. Then, about 5 years after that, my grandfather moved in. And I remember going to the first grade. We lived in a home where there was ducks, cows, chickens. Oh, there was everything there. I went to going to school. A cow used to follow me to school. We had a cow named Bossy. He was like a pet. I'd turn around halfway to school and I had to bring the cow back home. I remember that school, Ballard School. It's still in Saugus. I remember that school well. My teacher's name was Mrs. Wiggins. She finally became principal of that school. But she taught good. I went there for 6 years. And then I went to elementary school in Cliftondale. It was called Sweetser Junior High. And I remember my grandpa really well then. I was going on, when I was in Sweetser, I was about 13. Grandpa was very sick then. He used to walk around with his cane, take me fishing. And he was a smart fisherman. He knew how to do things when he went fishing. He used to take a needle and put all the worms on when he used to make a bob. And he kept a lot of fish. And he really loved me. He showed attention, devotion. And I got used to him. I remember there were days we used to sit under the apple tree. And we had a big long fence, and we used to look out. He used to say to me, point to the garden, he just meant to get me a tomato, and he used to eat a raw tomato.